Hello, everybody. This is Jean Grunnert from Seven Oaks Consulting, and welcome to our Monday Marketing Motivation. Today, we are talking about the lead funnel. Now, this is a concept that may be new to some of you, but if you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, a marketing person, you need to know about the lead funnel. It is a very classic way of talking about sales. There's many different interpretations of it, many different ways of describing it. There's even different steps. As with anything in marketing, as each person reviews it and thinks about it, they put their own spin on it. I'm going to give you my perspective today on the lead funnel, especially as it talks about content marketing, which is my area of expertise, and SEO, another area of expertise. So if you're ready, we have a PowerPoint presentation today. I am going to share my screen, and hopefully you will be able to see my beautiful PowerPoint. And we will play it from the beginning, and let's get going. So we're going to talk today about the evolution of the lead funnel. Today is part one. We're going to talk more about it in the next couple of weeks, okay? So stay tuned. Do come back for more. But today I'm going to give you the overview of the lead funnel and then talk to you about one way in which you can analyze your own content on your website or blog and see how you're doing. So what exactly is a lead funnel? The lead funnel is a marketing and sales process that maps the journey of a potential customer from an initial point of awareness, which is the top of the funnel, to becoming a paying customer. It can also be a lead generation description too, right? So if you imagine a funnel, and we'll have a picture of one in a couple of minutes, you know that the top is broad and the bottom is very narrow, right? And let's say you're pouring iced tea from a big jar into a little jar. You put a funnel in, and as the iced tea flows into the top of the funnel, it then goes into a narrow bit to go into a smaller jar below it. The idea is that it represents the stages that your customer goes through from kind of, I've got this vague problem I need to solve, to, Seven Oaks Consulting and Jean Grunnert is the absolute best one to solve my problem. They start out at the top with a lot of options, and the goal is to help them winnow it down until you are their only option or their best option. The three stages that most marketers talk about is awareness, consideration, and conversion. The diagram I'm going to show you breaks that a little bit into a more nuanced model, which I like better. It's got, I think, 6 steps. It doesn't really matter how many steps there are. In general, it's all about the top being, you have to help people become aware of who you are. The middle, they're actually considering working with you or buying from you. And lastly, they take the action step of buying from you. You need to have some marketing and content in each stage of that funnel in order to close the sale. I'm going to tell you a little secret. Most companies have a ton of stuff at the top, very little effective in the middle, and almost nothing at the end, even though they think they do. We'll talk about that in subsequent videos, but I want to bring that up now because it's a very common problem that I and other content marketers see a lot. Is when we go into a company's content, they think they're hitting each portion of the funnel, but they're really not. They're really focused heavily on the top. And that's a problem today, as we will see. So what does your funnel need for lead generation? Well, they're intended to streamline the buyer's journey from start to finish by providing customers with enough information for every stage of the journey. From the top of the funnel of, oh, I'm now aware of your brand, to the middle of, this is interesting. Now I've got more information about it, to, yes, I finally buy it. Marketers love acronyms, so we're going to use the acronyms that are very common in the industry: TOFU, MOFU, and BOFU. I love them. TOFU, top of the funnel; MOFU, middle of the funnel; and BOFU, bottom of the funnel. Okay, just words that mean awareness, consideration, action. Okay, TOFU is the awareness stage. MOFU is the consideration stage where they've narrowed their choices and you're one of them. To bottom of the funnel, or BOFU, which is, I have made my choice. I am making my sale. I'm filling out a lead form. I mentioned that the model I prefer has more steps, and here you go right here. To make it simple, because I will use this picture consistently for the next couple of videos, you'll see A and B equals TOFU. So the awareness and the interest at the top of the funnel, that's all around making people aware of who you are, what you do, options available to them, say with your product and things like that. MOFU is consideration and intent. Now people have narrowed down their choices and they're actively considering buying from you. And again, BOFU is evaluation and purchase. I've narrowed down my choices. Now I'm doing the heavy step of evaluating them. And F is purchase. I'm actually buying from you. Think about it as, let's say, my company, which offers, consulting, fractional chief marketing services, and SEO and content marketing services. Top of the funnel is people need to be aware that they need these things. So maybe they don't even know what a fractional chief marketing officer is. They don't know who Seven Oaks Consulting is, things like that. The goal of my top of the funnel content was to help people become aware and interested in us as a service. Consideration and intent, I may need to show them proof points. Well, what's the value of hiring a fractional chief marketing officer? What do you get from it? As people get closer to the actual step of contacting us for potentially, say, a quote or a meeting or something like that, we might narrow down into even deeper like problems that a chief marketing officer would solve and give them examples of how we've done it successfully for others, say through case studies. Case studies, by the way, are a very typical middle of the funnel kind of content that you would provide. Lastly, evaluation and purchase. There we would want to showcase us against competitors, and not in a mean way, but like, hey, these are the reasons why we're probably a great fit for you. Here's ways that you can evaluate the fit. Things like that demonstrate or illustrate all the types of marketing that one might want to do or content that one might want to provide at a very basic high level, overview of these different steps in this lead funnel. I hope that made sense to you. Everybody's lead funnel, by the way, is going to look very different. So what I've just sketched out for my business may not look like it for your business. Let's say you're buying a major appliance, okay, and you're a new appliance brand on the market. Well, you need to make consumers aware and interested in what you do. So in that case, you may do videos demonstrating chefs cooking with your appliance. Your beautiful new refrigerator and all the great features it has, things like that. Consideration and intent, you would then go deeper into why this appliance is better. Perhaps it has a higher and better energy rating. It has a bigger and better warranty than the competitors, things that set it apart. Lastly, evaluation and purchase. That's where you might offer the customer a coupon, a free shipping offer, up the warranty, something to kind of tip the scale into a sale. Again, I've just sketched out another type of lead funnel for a very different type of company, but I think now you can sort of see from these examples how the flow would go through a funnel, whether it is like me, which is a service-based business-to-business company, versus a consumer-based company, right? Same funnel, different applications depending upon what you're selling and to whom you're selling it. Okay, here's the big thing, guys. A lot of the older marketing content and advice out there focuses heavily on the top of funnel content to get people to your site by answering the questions and solving problems. Now, before ChatGPT and AI came out, this was a great approach. I even have a book. I'm pointing over to my left where I've got a stack of marketing books. But even, I followed, a couple of good marketers who always recommend put a glossary on your site, put a lot of problem solving, question and answer kind of content on your site. All of this was intended to generate interest and awareness. It's not that this has gone away. It still has a valuable place in your lead funnel. But what's happened is AI and ChatGPT snippets that appear at the top of the search engine results, a lot of them can answer these questions and provide sort of problem solving stuff a lot faster and more succinctly than a lot of the content that's out there. Is it better? Highly questionable. I personally dislike AI search. I think it makes far too many mistakes. I would prefer if I could turn it off, in fact, but I can't yet. But the point is, for all of you marketers out there and entrepreneurs and business owners, AI answers these things fast. So a lot of you who've got TOFU heavy content on your website, say like your corporate blog, it's all about like problem solving. You need to shift the mindset into MOFU content and BOFU content. More MOFU than BOFU at this stage, because people will need to become aware and interested in your company through other means. Organic search traffic at the top of the funnel is really shifting. So look to social media, look to paid advertising to generate the awareness and the interest. Bring them to your site, get them either in an email list so that you own it or looking at your content, and then draw them into the consideration and intent, the C through the F level on the picture that you see here. Again, as I was describing, that's the modern model, right? So we're moving away from all of the awareness and interest stuff over here and more into C through F. If you're not sure what all this means, again, in the next couple of weeks, I plan to go into a lot more depth on this. And you can also look it up online. Obviously, there's a lot written about this as well. Now, how do you know what you've got right now on your site? The next step to me is to conduct a content audit. What I like to do with a content audit is it helps me identify the gaps and opportunities that are essential to position a website for success. So right now, you may have been blogging for years under the old model. We all have, right? Because nobody knew AI search was going to come out, but it has come out. We need to deal with it as marketers. So a lot of our content is set up for sort of the older search models. And if you haven't looked at your blog, if you haven't gone back in and tweaked your existing content in a long time, what's happened is all of the stuff that you've got out there right now is kind of built for an older model of a search engine that's no longer as relevant. So what you may see in your search console and analytics is your organic site traffic is falling off, or your search position is declining. It's moving from first page to second or third page. All of this is simply because the newer search engine algorithms, are looking for different things. And again, the emphasis now is more on that middle and bottom of the funnel content rather than all the top of funnel stuff, which people tend to have because that's what we were, using years ago to get good leads. So what do you do? I'm going to sketch out for you right now a very basic content audit. Again, there's a heck of a lot more nuances to this. If you're new to this, never fear. Again, drop me a note. I'm happy to do a video on another Monday Marketing Motivation where we'll go over this a little bit more. This is how I start, and this is how, if I were bootstrapping this and back in the days when I ran my e-commerce company, was doing all my marketing and everything else, this is probably what I would have done to do DIY it. The first thing is go to your Google Search Console, right? Google Search Console has a feature where if you go to, I believe it's Pages, and you tell it a time period of, say, the last year, and you check off what you want to get, you can then download all the URLs that it has indexed. So go to the bottom of that, change it to like 500, which I think is the maximum you can download at once, and download each page. If you have more than 500 pages of content, you have to kind of click something that says go to the next page and then download it. Download it as an Excel spreadsheet, and then open up a fresh spreadsheet and just copy and paste everything in there, right? Then set up columns, identify your topics, identify your categories, how it aligns to your current business products and services, right? And then whether or not you think it's TOFU, MOFU, or BOFU. Is this a top of funnel question where it's generating interest and awareness? Is it a middle of funnel question for consideration, buyer intent? Or is it bottom of the funnel where you're actually converting people? Just check it off. I ask people to identify categories as well as topics and then look and see how well they're aligned to their current business model. I recently did a blog audit where we realized that a good chunk, maybe 10 to 15% of the blog itself was not even talking about the current business model because the company had shifted over the last 10 years into a different focus area. So stuff that they published, 5-10 years ago was so out of sync with who they are now. Well, it was easy enough to either rewrite it, sunset it, or redirect it. And again, these are steps that you can take later on, depending on what you choose to do with your content. But it always starts with identifying things. Many years ago, when I was in college, as a freshman in college, I worked at Macy's, right? The second biggest Macy's store in America. And I will never forget inventory nights. Twice a year, January and June, the whole store closed at 9 o'clock. and each department inventoried every single article within their department. We had a person who would count the clothing and then the person who would record it, and then we'd switch to double check. It was only by taking an inventory of the entire, I worked in the juniors department. It was only by taking an inventory of every single pair of jeans and t-shirts and sweaters and skirts and everything else we were selling that we could identify exactly what we had on the sales floor, what was in the backstock area, and then whoever in the accounting office at the department store would then enter it into the computer, and they could see what the shrinkage was, they could see what was selling well, all that good stuff. You're doing the exact same thing with your blog or with your website content. You are taking an inventory, and just like a shopkeeper can only know what it is they're dealing with if they know exactly what they have in inventory, so too you can only know what you're dealing with when you know exactly what you have in your inventory. So this is not just like a nice to have thing, guys. This is a really important thing as part of your content audit. Lastly, when you've got a good picture on your spreadsheet of all of the content pieces you have, and I would suggest even going outside of your blog as well. I'm saying blog, but really, I also add in my content audits all the case studies I've published, all the ebooks I've got, all of the checklists and downloadable worksheets, basically anything I've got content related. I can then summarize and note the gaps that I have. I can look down that audit and say, you know what, I've got 200 TOFU pieces, 20 MOFUs, and like 0 BOFUs. I need to go back and fix that. Or I can say, I've got 200 articles on content marketing, 5 on SEO and 1 on writing, right? Or whatever it is, and know where I've got my gaps. It's only by knowing where you have gaps that you can fill them, right? So the next step after you've looked at your audit is to go in and create a summary and then a strategy to fill those gaps. I would suggest, if you're doing this now, go to Q1. That's what's coming up next. But whatever quarter is next on your calendar, whenever you're watching this, create a very simple content strategy to begin filling those gaps, focusing on MOFU topics or where you have gaps. Maybe you're MOFU heavy. You've got no TOFU. You've got no BOFU. I don't know. Only you will know this when you have actually conducted a content audit. Now, maybe your head is swirling there and you're going, Jean, oh my gosh, how the heck am I supposed to do this? I'm running a business here. I don't have time for all this. Aha, my company does these. So I'm not hard selling you on this, but if you're feeling overwhelmed and you really feel like you benefit from this and you have no way of getting started, look on our website. The URL is at the bottom for Future Proof SEO. We do all the heavy work of an audit and provide you with both the audit and suggested action steps. We can do the audit, give you a strategy, and then tell you where to fill your gaps. So if you're listening to this, you feel like you really need this, but you're feeling overwhelmed, check us out. We may be a very good service to help you address those gaps. My friends, do you have questions? You're very welcome to contact me through my company, sevenoaksconsulting.com. The URL is right on the page in front of you right there. I want to thank you so much for joining me today for this video. This is a really important topic, and lead funnels can be confusing. They can be difficult and unwieldy, but doing them right can really make a difference in how many leads are coming into your business. So I'll put up some articles on this, and certainly there's a ton of stuff written about lead funnels that's out there. So do check it out. Do your own research, do your own search, and learn more about this topic. Join me next week. I will be talking more about middle of the funnel content, which often confuses people. Hope to have some good examples for you and more. This is Jean Grunert from Seven Oaks Consulting. Thanks for watching our Monday Marketing Motivation. Be well. Your homework this week, guys, almost forgot that. You almost got away without homework. Your homework is to take a look at this video again and really decide whether or not you're able to do your own content audit, or at least make that decision. Whether you're going to do it, maybe you have a virtual assistant who can help you with it, or contact a pro like us. Thanks. Be well. Enjoy your week. Take care.